Om Namo Narayana. Okay, so we are looking at the seventh chapter, Jnana Vijnana Yoga. So here, the shloka 2, where it was said, Jnanam Teham Savijnanam Idam Vakshyamya Sheshataha. I'm going to give you that knowledge along with that understanding or realization. So we have discussed that Lord, when it comes through that Lord, it is a supreme means of knowledge and for realization. So just I'm going to just read the question. You all can just contemplate on this. Am I inclined to seek spiritual knowledge without applying it in practice? As in other areas of life, what distinguishes theoretical knowledge from practical understanding in spiritual life? How can my spiritual insights translate into wisdom and personal realization, making them applicable in everyday life? So these are the ones where we contemplate on how to apply that knowledge, how to transform that theoretical knowledge into wisdom, and are we doing it? So not just one time, we have to repeatedly contemplate on this. Okay, so all right, so let us now look at the seventh chapter. We have okay, there's one more. We didn't do this. Okay, let us look at this also. Can I observe in my own society and surroundings that many people are focused on pursuing material goals? So the Lord gave us that equation. What was that equation? That out of many, out of thousands in world, only a few people want to make progress, meaning internally, spiritually, or we can say self-development or any kind of progress, internal progress. Everybody is interested in external progress, and very few are interested in that. So this we can see. Can I see that others are primarily engaged in achieving personal success in their respective fields? This is a normal attitude. Why is it that so few pursue genuine self-development and spiritual growth? So this is something we should look at. What makes people seek this? Why are so few people? And where do I stand? What is my primary pursuit in life? Artha kama, we say, right? Like seeking material or desires. Or do I want to seek internal progress? And then the Lord said that out of the thousands who seek me, although the ratio is less there already, but a further ratio he gave. Very few are consistent, are disciplined, and strive to realize that supreme reality or truth. So even among those who seek to discover their true self or connect with the divine, why do so few manage to pursue it to the end? So this we can see, right? Like sadhakas have this thing in at some point there is interest, some things they want to seek, something else they want to seek, and then they get some other things come in their way or some obstacles in their life. Something comes, doesn't allow them to progress further. In my own life, what are the obstacles preventing me from choosing the higher path to lasting happiness? So we have to look at our own obstacles. What obstacles are, and how do I overcome them? Like, am I doing some practices, some upasanas? Am I trying to change, transform so that these obstacles don't stop me from attaining that realization, that highest truth, that highest happiness, which all of us really want. But for some reason or the other, many people stop halfway. So we have to have the determination that I will not stop, that obstacles I will overcome. Just as how, some famous sports person or media people, they make so much effort to success. So we should make even greater effort because we are seeking that highest goal of life, that getting which no other goal is comparable. So, okay, all right, let us. So now the seventh chapter we are looking at. So here the topic is how to transform jnana to vijnana. How do we make the difference from shifting into that knowledge into which is just theoretical knowledge? How do we transform that to vijnana, meaning our own realization? So that was the first thing. And here we are not, the vijnana is not about just anything. It is also here that knowledge is about the supreme reality of Bhagwan. So we looked at this, that there are different things. One is the Prakriti jnana, that knowledge of the all the things that happen in Prakriti. This is the cause and effect. Then we also looked there at Purusha, that from the Sankhya perspective, there is a pure consciousness, and then there is that what we call as energy or that force from where all the gunas, all the transformations, everything starts manifesting. So this aspect of manifestation where everything transforms, this is called the parinama, parinama karana, meaning the it transforms like how a milk transforms into yogurt, or then the question will come, if God is transforming, then that God has transformed. He's not God as he is as a pure spirit or consciousness. So there again, it is mentioned that Purusha, that consciousness ever stays like that. Prakriti undergoes transformation. So the Prakriti, which is that energy or that nature, we say, that nature is going through all these things. So there are laws under which nature transforms, the dharma. So that transformation of nature, which is going through, that is independent in that sense in Sankhya. However, when we look at it from Gita and Vedanta, that nature and spirit or consciousness, both of them originate from the Lord only. So there is a higher entity in that chart. Maybe can you project that chart, Kartika? So this is a better chart than what we had last class, See in this one that there is a Prakriti. From Prakriti there is Mahat, Ahankara, that all that we discussed. Then there is that 23 manifestation or 23 evolution. But on the left top side, there is that Purusha, consciousness. See, that combination of consciousness and Prakriti is the cause of all manifestation. So here, this is how the Sankhyans have taken that. On one side, there is consciousness, other side, there is Prakriti. Prakriti is undergoing all transformation, or we can also call Prakriti as Maya from Vedanta perspective. So that is it is the it is what is called as the upadana and nimitta karana. There are two things. Upadana means the matter, that thing, material. Somebody has to supply that material. Like if you are going to build a house, we need the cement, the bricks, and the other things. That is the gross matter. So the Prakriti is supplying that. So on another perspective, when we look at it, the Karya Karana, like it will come in the 13th chapter, it will come. That which is the cause and effect, both the cause and effect is Prakriti. That is better. It's bigger. The cause and effect is Prakriti. So there, when Prakriti is the cause and effect, it is a Karya Karana. Then the Purusha, meaning that consciousness is the Bhokta, experiencer. So we have this phrase guna guneshu vartantu. Bhagavan says gunas act on gunas. So the we are not the doer. It was said. Why? One is we can say God is the doer. Other way, a much more scientific way is that matter and energy interacts and they are doing everything. I am really not doing anything. Even the mind and intellect is nothing but matter and energy. So this is not me as such. So who is me? I am this consciousness, Purusha. But I experience that effects when in a conditioned form, when I'm identified with that Prakriti, when the consciousness is conditioned, Upadhi, by this Prakriti, then I experience happiness and sorrow. So this combination of Prakriti being the doer, I being the experiencer, this is one way to look at it. This is a kshetragnya, that field or that matter or object, that body, all that thing is all this manifestations happening. And these are transforming. This is parinama, parinama karana, meaning that cause transforms into effect. That Prakriti itself in an unmanifested state, avyakta we say. Here Shankaracharya says that ahankara is that avyakta, that sense of I amness when it manifests in that pure unmanifested Prakriti. Then it becomes this limited buddhi, ahankara, and the mind, uh, all the manifestations start coming from there, senses and all that. So this is these things are all interacting. Mind interacts with the intellect, senses, and everything is they're doing by themselves. I, as consciousness, am not the doer of any of this, but I am the experiencer. So that is where the problem comes. As a consciousness, I feel I am suffering or I'm enjoying. Huh? So this nature of good and bad, happiness and sorrow, this is the bondage that an unrealized person or a person who doesn't realize consciousness. So here Bhagavan has given these two aspects in this. One, he talks about Prakriti, where he says that Prakriti he divides into eight. What are the eight? What were the different things in this chart that is covered by the Lord in the shloka? Shloka 5 or 6. I think.
5 elements, Swamiji.
Five elements are there. Very good. Then Bhumi Rapo Nalo Vayu Kam. That was there. Then what else is there in this?
Manassu, Buddhi, and Ahankara.
Correct. Manas, Buddhi, Ahankara. So that these eight meaning representations of all of them. So when he says the five elements, he's actually talking about the subtle elements. So what happens is that with the subtle elements are meaning the earth, water, air, fire, and space have subtle elements, what is called as tanmatra, meaning they are not manifested. So then when they mix with each other, that is when all this manifestation happens. So this is a panchikarana process, where the see, earth is not earth by itself, right? Like the gross earth we see, it also has air, fire, water. That is how it stays like that. So similarly, like water has this aspect of movement, and so all that some grossness is also there in water. So that is all the subtle elements. So in the subtle form, they are pure, these elements, but when they manifest into the gross form, then it comes like this. Now in this equation, what is happening is these are the eight aspects, manifestations of Prakriti, as he called the lower Prakriti. So these things are the lower Prakriti. Now what is the higher Prakriti? He said Para Prakriti, he is saying. When he's saying Para Prakriti, what should we take in this chart?
Purusha.
Purusha, and not the avyakta, meaning that avyakta, which is the first one here. The top is, it is called Prakriti, but it is avyakta, meaning it's unmanifest. Pradhana, we say sometimes. Primordial matter, they say, right there. So that which is unmanifest is still the lower Prakriti. Purusha is the higher Prakriti. So then what happens? Purusha becomes the Kshetrajna, which will come later. He is the seer, he is the knower. When in pure form, he is the knower. Now there is, Lord will say, there is one more aspect in this hierarchy. This is the Sankhya one. But Bhagwan is now teaching higher than what the Sankhyans taught. Or it may have been taught in Sankhya, but we have lost a lot of Sankhya's documents, There's only very little of Sankhya that has survived over the time. So there is that higher form of creation, meaning there is a higher source of creation, which he will talk about today. So this Karana, this is the Karana which we call as the from where everything manifests. So in the Vedanta's teachings, the Karana is that Vivartavada, we say. Vivarta means it is a seeming appearance, like how a dream appears in the waker's mind, but it doesn't have a reality. The snake appears on the rope, but the snake doesn't have reality. Similarly, that God, that cause, that supreme Lord, Bhagavan, we say here, Ishvara. Ishvara is a word technically used for that ultimate source. In Puranas, they say Narayana. Here we say Ishvara. Ishvara is that ultimate source. From that ultimate source, both Prakriti and Purusha manifest. And then they go about doing all creations. Lower creations are coming from these. So the first source from where everything evolves, that source, Ishvara, Brahman, is never transformed. It is not like that milk transforming into yogurt. It is like that rope on which that snake appears. That rope is always has rope only. It doesn't ever become that snake. Similarly, the dream is in the waker's mind. It comes and it goes. It doesn't. The maker stays as the waker only. Nothing ever happened to that waker. That dream came, and similarly, this creation is like that. So that Lord, that Brahman, or that pure Atma consciousness never undergoes any change. It is pure, it is always Nitya Shuddha Mukta Buddha. But all this is to explain how creation has come. Why is there creation? How has creation come? What is the means through which creation is created, sustained, and destroyed or dissolved? So this chart here is more or less the format on which he's going to explain, and later chapters also will come on this. Okay. Okay, we can take this. Now, one more point before we go into this is that we will discuss this later also. This which is calling as Para Prakriti. Para Prakriti is already transcendental, meaning this Purusha consciousness is already transcendental of the matter, of what we call nature. It is already transcending that nature. But yet, because of its association with the Apara Prakriti, which is this immanent force of God or nature, all this manifestation is happening. So now one of the point that Bhagavan is going to talk about is that why is Bhagavan now he's going to talk about how creation is there and how in everything in creation, I am present. So this is the knowledge that Bhagavan is going to give us. He's going to give us that knowledge of that knowledge of himself or of that Lord, has manifesting in all of this creation, upholding this creation, sustaining this creation, so that we can ultimately learn to worship God in everything, has everything. So this is, the Bhagavad Gita's way is that Bhagavad Gita is not just telling us that you have to worship Lord only in the temple. You have to go to a temple, a church, or somewhere. There alone you can worship God. That is not like that. Here you worship God everywhere in everything. In all things you can worship God. So this is a transformed vision of a devotee. He learns to see the presence, or he learns to attune to that presence of God hidden in everything that is manifesting. So this is a supreme way of devotion. See, even if you really look at it, this is a natural thing in many people. Like, for example, an atheist also, somebody who doesn't believe in any kind of a personal God or any kind of a nature of God. He will say that I feel good, I feel something divine, I feel something uplifting when I'm in nature, mountains, or oceans, skies. They say I am experiencing something beyond the mind, beyond. So in a way, that is a unconscious way an atheist also is worshipping the divine. The only thing lacking is that proper knowledge that in that nature, in everything, there is God manifesting. And then there are other Nastika darshans. In our India also we have like Jains, Buddhists, and others. They are also very well progressed thing, but they say that we have to worship God I mean, not worship, they don't say, we have to revere people, animals, beings, ahimsa. We should see that life in everyone, everything. We should not kill anybody, anything. Why? Because they are learning to worship God in all beings, every living being. Even a mosquito they don't kill, or even an ant they try not to. Especially now the rainy seasons have started. That great effort is made not to walk. Why? Because you end up killing beings and then you offend that divine in some way. So this is the Bhagavad Gita's way, that the worship of the Lord is not confined to a temple or a church or a mosque or somewhere. You learn to worship God in everything, feeling that God's presence, the divine presence, that supreme presence in everything, everywhere, in all beings, in all manifestations, in the sun. That is what he's going to tell us. Uh, Ekastham Jagat Kritsnam. It will keep coming again and again, especially the 11th chapter, where the Lord manifests as so many forms. In all forms, that there is that Lord. Everything is sustained by that Lord. So this is the purified wisdom vision of a yogi, meaning through knowledge, his devotion is not just the devotion of just doing that like a bhajan, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna. Of course, that is also good, nothing wrong with that. But yet at the same time, the idea is that it is not limited to that. You don't just worship or do bhajan of the Lord in your temple, in your home, or in your place. Everywhere, just as how you can practice yoga in your work, in your karma yoga. Here, bhakti yoga can be practiced all through in everything you interact in the world. So this is a main approach. We will look through later also this aspect. So now let us look at the shlokas. Okay. So we have looked at this shloka. Apare yamitastwanyam prakritim vidhi me param. O Arjuna, beyond this lower prakriti, know that there exists a higher prakriti of mind. It is a source of all living beings, meaning it is that consciousness, it is a Purusha. And through it, the entire universe is upheld, meaning that Purusha pervades that Prakriti. Prakriti by itself will always remain in avyakta, unmanifested. but because of that consciousness, it pervades everything. Okay, now let us first chant the shlokas. Maybe from here only. Shloka number 5. Apareyamitastvanyam
अपरेयमितस्त्वन्यम्
Prakritim vidhi me param
Prakritiं
प्रकृतिं
विद्धि
विद्धि
मे
मे
पराम्
पराम्
Param
Jiva bhuta mahabaho
Jiva
जीवभूता
Bhuta
महाबाहो
Mahabaho
महाबाहो
Yayedham dharyate jagat
ययेदं
ययेदं
धार्यते
Yate
जगत्
ध्यायते जगत्
Yetadyonini bhutani
एतद्योनीनि
एतद्योनीनि
भूतानि
भूतानि
Sarvanityupadharaya
सर्वाणि
धारय
Sarvanyupadharaya
Aham kritsnasya jagata
Aham
अहं
अहं
Kritsya
कृत्स्नस्य
कृष्णस्य
Jagata
जगत्
जगतः
Prabhava pralayasthatha
Prabhava
प्रभवः
प्रभवः
प्रलयस्तथा
प्रलयस्तथा
Mattah paratarananyat
मत्तः
मत्तःपरतरन्नान्यत्
परतरन्नान्यत्
kinchidasti dhananjaya
Kinchidasti
किञ्चिदस्ति
Jananjaya
धनञ्जय
Mayi sarvamidam protam
Mayi
मयि सर्वमिदं
Sarvamidam
इदं
प्रोतं
Protam
प्रोतं
Sutre manigana iva
सूत्रे
Sutre
सूत्रे
मणिगणायिव
Maniganaiva
rasohamapsu kaunteya
रसोऽहं
सोऽहं
कौन्तेय
कौन्तेय
prabhasmi shashi suryayoho
प्रभास्मि
Prabhasmi
प्रभास्मि
Shashi
शशिसूर्ययोः
Suryayo
pranavah sarva vedeshu
Pranavas
प्रणवः
प्रणवः सर्ववेदेषु
सर्ववेदेषु
Shabdakhe paurushanrushu.
Shabdake
शब्दखे पौरुषं ऋषु
Paurusho
Okay. So now he's giving us the higher, the hierarchy. There is a hierarchy of creation. What is that? Yetad yoniti bhutani. So that which is higher than both the lower Prakriti and higher Prakriti, Apara and Para Prakriti, there is one more supreme entity, which is the cause of both of this. Here he uses the word the womb, womb from which these two have come. These two Prakriti come from that supreme being. Sarvani ityupadharaya. They uphold, or from there these two are coming. And who is this? This is me, Bhagavan or Ishvara, Brahman. It is not, here he's not, again, we have to keep remembering this. He's not talking about Krishna, the charioteer, Krishna, the friend and cousin of Arjuna. He's talking about me as the Lord, the supreme being. He is identified with that supreme Saguna Brahma. Etad yoniti bhut sarvani tyupada. Aham kritsnasya jagataha. I am the origin. I am that from where everything arises from me. Or that we can say that if you don't want to take it as a personal individual God, we can say that that essence, that reality from where everything arises. It is the origin. And I'm also its dissolution, meaning it is also the cause of not just the creation, that which is sustenance and dissolution also. Everything that arises and goes back into that. So etad yoniti bhutani. So here, couple of points. One is that, see, this cause we discussed just now. When he's saying it is the cause, we are not talking about the cause as in that milk, which transforms, or even the clay which becomes a pot, or the gold which becomes a jewel. Here we are talking from that vivarta point, meaning here, as I mentioned, that vivarta means seeming appearance. That is a projected appearance, we can say. So from that source, from that Brahman, all this Prakriti is getting projected. And this source, like even in the Brahma Sutra, there is that shloka where it says, that sutra where it says, Janmadhyasya yataha. That Brahman is that cause, that pure, that Brahman, that Nirguna, Nirakara, Nirupadika, we say, without any adjuncts, without any attributes, that pure consciousness or reality, from where everything arises, but in the form of saguna, that when it mixes with the Maya, it becomes the saguna Brahma, we say, that which becomes which is conditioned by Maya, meaning it is not conditioned forcibly by its own choice, it is conditioned. From there, what happens? All this world, this whole world is upheld from that things. Etad yoniti, Shankaracharya, yeto para apare, kshetragnya lakshane, prakriti yonihi, esham bhutani tani etad yoniti. So that which is the source of both the prakritis, in later which he's going to qualify it as the field or the object, and the knower of that field. So these, both of these prakritis, and who is the one who is supporting it? It is Prakriti Dvaya Dvarena, Aham Sarvagni Ishwaraha Jagataha Karanam Ityartaha. So this, I am not just any individual who has superpower. I am that source, that Sarvagnya, that omniscient God, who is the source of everything, that Lord who is omnipotent, omniscient. So from the context of the world here, we are talking of the Lord. Otherwise, it is a pure consciousness. So this is what it is called, this. There are two ways to point to that Lord. One is the pure way, where we say this Nirguna Nirakara, or we say Satchit Ananda, Satyam Jnanam Ananta. There is pure thing. There is no relation. Other way to point to the supreme reality is what is called as Tatastha Lakshana. It is a way to point that reality through using some relation, some context. So from the context of the earth, there is a supreme reality. This is called the Tatastha Lakshana, meaning it is an extrinsic definition, meaning through the relation with something, through that something external characteristics or a manifested characteristics. So from the effect, we point to that cause. So for example, when we say that the gold is there in every gold jewelry or gold ring, meaning that gold which is inherent in that gold ring, we are pointing to. So this is a external lakshana, pointer. The other pointer is Swarupa Lakshana. That is harder. That is not easy because there is no context. So those who have that knowledge, realization, and they are the only ones who can directly see that thing as it is. In that Swarupa Lakshana, that is the nature of it. Like we say, like ice is cold, fire is hot. So that nature is intrinsic to that. It is not dependent on anything. The nature of ice, Swarupa, is cold, and the nature of fire is hot. So that is the same when we say Satchitananda, that Lord is what the Lord is. That is not an attribute. It is not like that Lord has joy as a quality, Lord has consciousness as a quality. No, that is the nature itself of that Lord. So here now, Anand Giriji mentions one point. Anand Giriji is the sub-commentator. He says both these prakritis in this context are like the upadis. Mama prakriti parameshwarasya upaditaya sthito iti artaha. So that supreme Lord who is free from upadis is now pointed to using these two upadis. What are the two upadis we are talking here when he says two upadis? So these two are the upadis of that supreme Lord. What are these two upadis or the adjuncts that we are using to point to that supreme Lord?
Is it the two levels of Prakriti?
What are they?
Para and Apara
Good.
Prakriti?
Yeah. So para and apara prakriti are used as a means to point to that supreme Lord. So this is what the comment sub-commentator here is mentioning. Now he mentions that in reality, what happens is that unlike the Sankhya Darshan, where Purusha and Prakriti are by themselves considered independent, he's saying these two Prakritis are dependent. They are originating and they're dependent. But that Brahman, that Ishvara is not dependent. So how is that possible? So here we have a hierarchy. The hierarchy says that Ishvara is that primordial, that supreme reality, from where everything arises. From that Ishvara, there is the higher Prakriti, Para. Then from that Para, combination with Apara. Then all this is happening, just like how in Sankhya we have Purusha, Prakriti. This Para and Apara, they come from where? From the Lord. So there is a hierarchy. So then there is a one problem. This problem is like I keep saying, you talk to any child and you tell them that, there is a God, then that problem always comes. They will say that, like, if you tell them in a hierarchy way, we come from our parents come from our grandparents, and then it goes on, and then you say, okay, there's a supreme Lord. So Bhagwan has done that same thing now. He says that supreme Lord is there. I am that supreme Lord from where everything is arising. So then the question is naturally here, as the child will also ask you, who created this God? Is there somebody higher? So that point, to understand this point, that now he clarifies in the next shloka where he says that Mattaf parataran nanyat kinchidasti dhananjaya. There is nothing higher than me, meaning this is the end. In one way, that question from a Saguna perspective is okay. But from that supreme reality, that creation itself never happened. So that question itself is not there. Who is there above God is not arising, because this creation in relation to this God, we are saying there is a supreme God. As every religion will tell us that supreme Lord is the supreme reality. So, but there is nothing higher than that, meaning that is the end point, because that reality is where it is a supreme ultimate reality. From there, all these lower realities of creation, individuals, beings, all this is appearing. So he gives a metaphor, an example to understand that. How is it? Mayi sarvamidam protam sutre manigana iva. Everything that exists in the universe is woven into me. This is a very popular shloka, popular quote. He says, Mayi sarvamidam protam sutre manigana iva. Just as how various, like a pearl necklace, there is a thread or a wire. On that thread and wire, everything is held together. Similarly, all these objects in the world, people, sentient, insentient, everything, they are strung together on that one thread. What is this thread? This thread is that supreme Lord in the pure form. That supreme unchanged reality in the pure form, which always remains like that, manifests in through all this. So here that anyat, the word anyat meaning that there is none other. Paratara anyat, that karanantara kinchid nasti na vidyate ahameva jagat karanam ityartha. There is nothing that is higher. Anything else, if we have another thing, then that will become the greater God. So no, that is the ultimate reality, meaning that source from where everything starts. Then the protam, protaming, how is it strung? So the Bhashya, the example is given, it is strung, woven, connected. Like how a thread has the warp and woof, they say, meaning the thread has the horizontal and the the length, so the latitude, longitude, horizontal, vertical, threads are running. So those, the horizontal and the vertical, they are all based on what? The threads only. So the thread is what the essence is. It seems like there is a horizontal things, there is a vertical thing, but the thread is the essence there, right? Similarly, there exists no independent reality apart from that Brahman. The thread is the reality of the cloth. So whether it is horizontal or vertical, it is a thread. Everything depends on the thread, meaning the whole cloth or all the threads are nothing but the threads itself. Similarly, everything in this universe is pervaded or resting or existing in this Brahman or in this supreme being. Actually, this is somebody was asking, right? So this is a difference here. The world is not connected to Brahman as in Visishta Advaita, that Ramanuja's philosophy, because he has a way also to explain this shloka. But in the normal way of Dvaita, dualism, what happens is the world is connected to God. The world, like the God is there, and then we are here. So we are connected to the world. So we become a part, or we are loosely kind of, or some inherently connected to that Lord. But what is actually the Vedanta, especially Advaita Vedanta, is saying is that the ontological truth, that what is called philosophically the truth is that the Brahman is the source, it is the matter, and it is the efficient cause. Nimitta karana upadana. Meaning it is the efficient cause, like it is the builder of the house, and it is also the matter used in the house, the material used in the house. So both are nothing but Brahman. So there is nothing independent from that Brahman. So we are actually, our bodies also are nothing but the Lord. Our mind is also nothing but the Lord. And the workings of our intelligence and mind also is nothing but the Lord. So this is the architect and builder of the house and the material used in the house. Both are Lord. They are all dependent on Brahman for its existence, continuity, and its dissolution. So this prepares now for the teaching that is going to follow. From now, many shlokas. We will quickly look at the rest of the shlokas. But the essence of that shloka is this. What is it? This whole world, the essence of the world is dependent on Brahman. But Brahman is independent. That Ishvara who is on who the world is dependent is himself independent. He is not dependent on the world. We say sometimes, that Saguna Brahma is that Maya, like he's conditioned by Maya, we say. But actually, that Brahman is not conditioned how we are conditioned by our body and mind. So that difference, that Brahman remains independent, but the world dependent on that Brahman. That Taittiriya Upanishad also, there's a beautiful shloka where it says, Yatova imani bhutani yena jathani jivanti, yat yat prayantya bhi samvishanti. Tad vignya sa swa, meaning know that reality from where everything arises and from where everything is born, everything sustains, and into which everything dissolves or departs back. When you know that is that Brahman, Tad Brahmeti, that is that Brahman, that is the definition given there for that Brahman, like using this Tatastha Lakshana, as I was mentioning, meaning that pointer. Literally, Tatastha Lakshana means like the example used is like there are many similar looking houses, but there is a crow that flies and rests on the top of one of the house. So the houses are all looking similar. You have to guide somebody to that one house. And incidentally, that crow comes and sits on that house. So then you say, see that house on which that crow is sitting, that is John's house or whosoever's house. So then what happens? It becomes easier. So similarly here, Brahman is pointed using that creation. Okay, what are the other attributes? Kena kena dharmena vishishtatvaya sarvamidam protamityuchate. Now, because we have to worship the Lord, we have to learn how to worship, meaning we have to learn to recognize that Lord. So this is the Jnana's approach. Through that Jnana and Vijnana, we learn to worship that Lord. Rather than just somebody telling us, worship this Lord, it will be good for you. Things will get better. So you worship that Lord. There is no knowledge. Here, that knowledge is that we are going to be told what is the nature of that Lord. Briefly, we will look. He says, O Kaunte, I am the very essence of water, the radiance of the sun and moon, that sacred syllable Om in all the Vedas, the sound that pervades space, and the essential strength found in all human beings. So this is going to go on for few shlokas. So the point in this is this, that in everything it is the Lord who is sustaining, who is the essence. Ekastam Jagat Kritsnam, in everything that one reality. And we learn to see that reality. We learn to appreciate that reality. So this is the Jnani's way of practicing devotion. A wise person or a one who has gained wisdom, he practices devotion not out of blind faith. He practices devotion in a way to see that divine presence upholding everything, the reality of everything. So in nature, in people, in circumstances, everything, he learns to see that one reality. So we will go into these shlokas in the coming class, but this is Bhagavad Gita's higher way to practice devotion. So in Bhagavad Gita, we know that there is Karma Yoga, there is Jnana Yoga. Then he taught us already in 6th chapter the Dhyana Yoga, meditation. Now the Bhakti Yoga has to be taught in a way that is based on knowledge, wisdom. So how is that? So this is the ability to see that Lord, as I mentioned in the beginning, the ability to worship God not just in the temple of your house or in any other temples, but in every temple, the temple of nature, the temple of people, the temple of all the matter, everything we learn to see that essence of that Lord. Okay, how many questions, comments?
Swamiji, may I ask a question? I'm a little confused about the relationship between Para Prakriti and Kshetragya. Is that the same thing, or
Yeah,
or
same.
okay? So Kshetragya is not pure consciousness.
So when the Kshetrajna is, so in that shloka there in the 13th chapter, when we look, we will see that. So it will be mentioned there, Sarva I am that Kshetra, Sarva Kshetreshu Bharata, meaning in every Kshetra, I am that. So when we realize that it is that Lord who is the knower of that field in every field, then that is a pure consciousness. Until then, it is a conditioned consciousness. So that knower of that field, meaning, see, I can observe my own thoughts, right? But that there is still a sense of conditioning that I am observing my thoughts. When that Mahavakya comes, when one realizes that Mahavakya as a realization, then that observer is that samasta sakshi, that one witness. Until then, it is a conditioned witness.
So we can say that as long as there is subject and object, and we're aware of being the observer,
Yeah.
we're in the realm of Kshetragya.
Yeah, Kshetragya.
And when the Mahavakya clicks, as it were, and realization takes place, we transcend even that level, which is the level of Para Prakriti, and now we're beyond the distinctions of Prakriti, even the highest, and that's pure
Yes.
consciousness.
Yes, that is
Okay.
we can say here, like, we can still say that Kshetrajna is pure consciousness. But however, the problem is that many times when we talk about Kshetrajna, it is in relation to that object. huh? So it is an individual witness there. So that individual witness, when, as you correctly said, gets that realization, it no longer becomes just an individual witness. It becomes that supreme Brahman itself, that one witness itself. Until then, that consciousness is still pure, but because of that association with that kshetra, with that object, so that association of that subject with that object still makes it a subject to that object, not that subject to everything. There is a one point, maybe we can just briefly discuss this. See, here the essence of this chapter is based on worshipping that Lord. He is going to tell us different ways of worshipping that Lord. So why not worship that Lord without all this knowledge of that Lord? What is why do we need knowledge here to practice bhakti? Let us put it that way. What is the value of that knowledge of that Lord for practicing bhakti or worshipping the Lord? Why not just do how the religions do? Why didn't he just say, go to the temple, worship that Lord there, or go to that church and worship that cross there, or whatever ways people or religions worship?
To be able to be worshiping all the time, not just in the temple, to be able to have that samadarshan.
That is a good point. Yeah. Yeah, worshipping all the time. That is one good point. Then anything else?
Without jnana, the subject-object duality will always persist.
That is a good point. Yes. Yes. Anybody else?
Can you say, Swamiji, that the idea is not to create more identification and worshipping the highest, to worship all of them together only? Because that is the essence of all the gods, be it in the church or a mosque or a Hindu temple.
That is a good, that is more or less the point. So the essence of all the worship, see, when we say bhakti yoga, it is that what we are doing, we're worshipping a Lord in a finite way, in a form and all that. So the idea here is, we will actually see if I can prepare something next week. There is a way to transform that personal worship to an impersonal worship. Now, actually, what happens is, when you change from personal to impersonal worship, then are we just worshipping nothingness? No, you can come back and worship the personal again. But when the knowledge has happened, that circle of thing, when you move from personal to impersonal and then you come back to personal, then that knowledge has transformed our vision, how we worship. We will no longer be fixated in worshipping the God in one attribute or one form alone. So we learn to move then from personal to impersonal, form to formless, individual to universal. See, this is a real worship of that Lord. That nature of that Lord is, it has to be universal, it has to be formless, it has to be impersonal, but yet it manifests as forms, it manifests as different individuals. So normal person, when a bhakti, a sadhaka, comes to spiritual path to worship in a devotional way, he is worshipping out of his problems or his needs or his desire for truth. in a very specific way, personal way. But that will again condition us. That will again make us dogmatic. That will again make us restricted. We will not be able to have that knowledge way of worshipping. So what that knowledge is doing is, it is transforming our vision that Lord is not somebody sitting somewhere controlling everything. That Lord is that essence of creation and yet manifesting in creation. So this transcendental reality is also the immanent reality. So when we learn to worship that in immanent, we are no longer just worshipping that God just as a rock alone. This is the thing also. When we bow to that rock or whatever, that stone also, right? When the vision is there, then it is pure. But if the vision is not there, then it is true, as people say, you're just bowing to that rock only. But if you are learned to see that in that rock or in that sky, in that river, like here we worship the Ganga. People say, why are you praying to the Ganga? Why are you bowing? Because we are not seeing it as just a river. So that ability to transform that vision through knowledge, then it becomes our realization. So this is a jnana to vijnana, the jump from jnana to vijnana. When we are able to worship Lord in this way, in everything, everywhere, in everyone, then that vision gets transformed. It becomes our realization. It is no longer just somebody told me to worship this deity I'm worshipping. Okay, all right, we will leave it at this. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om